Hello everyone, welcome to the Insight Show. This is your host Shreyas, along with my senior Vandit Bhaiya. And today we have an amazing alumni who is from the 2011 to 15 batch of electrical engineering, who has cracked the UPSC 2018 with an all-India rank of 121, and currently is training for the IFS, Indian Foreign Services. So I'd like to quote him. I've spent the happiest 4 years of my life at IIT Roper, which were intellectually stimulating and nourishing to the spirit. Hence, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all the teachers and the administrative setup, which made my college life so memorable. Help me in welcoming Mr. Ashish Samuel. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Hello. Hello to both of you. I'm very glad to be here. I'm very much excited to talk to you guys, and it's been a while that I got a chance to connect with my alma mater. So, thank you for inviting me here.
So it feels great to have you.
Yes, sir, definitely. So can we start by you telling me how was IIT Roper and like your quote here, we got it from the mail, and you're saying that these were the happiest 4 years of your life. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it was definitely the one of the most like I would say the most fun and most fantastic phase of my life, and I'm pretty sure you will also feel the same when you graduate and move out of the college, because that phase, I mean, I believe that that's the foundation that you'll get. That those 4 years will really be the foundation on which your personality gets built up. And for most of us, that will be the first time that we get a chance to explore ourselves. Like we live in a hostel, we get new friends, we get a lot of time to pursue whatever we want to. Your interest gets it gets made as well as a new interest will also come. So that is kind of phase where uh, because there are no parents around to monitor you, so you get a lot of
Freedom.
freedom that way. So you can, and I hope that we all use it well, that freedom. And it's not just any particular moment that comes to my mind when we talk about IIT Roper or the college. It's the entire 4 years, because those were the most, I would say, the most carefree time that you will ever have in your life. Of course, uh, those who uh, think a lot, overthink a lot, they can be stressed there also. But most of us are largely carefree at that phase. After that, there is a lot of things that you have to, consider while making decisions and all. So that's what I miss the most about those years. The friends that you make there, they stay for your life, and good internet.
Yeah,
And
very good internet service. And so how?
and late night canteens, food. There was no concept of day or night when I was there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sir remains
Pulling
true
all
at present
nighters
as well.
every day. Huh? What?
Sir, it remains true at present as well.
Good to know that.
And
After
sir,
that, I hardly ever, since 2015, I might have had just 5 or 6 all nighters since then. And at that time, I used to have at least 3 or 4 every week, uh, for some reason or other. Uh, so that was what I was saying, like the most carefree time you can have.
and sir, how different the life turns out after you graduate? Like after 4 years, how is the
Depends
real
depends
world?
on what, yeah, depends on what you are doing. Like I think most people choose a higher degree mostly because they still want to continue that student phase. Like you can go for MBA or MTech, MS. There are a lot of options there. And I, for one, I had thought about all of them. I had tried my hand at almost every exams that was in the offing, because I would say that we Indian kids are like born and brought up in this competitive culture, because if you don't have any more exams to crack, you just get disoriented, you don't know what to do next. So there was, like, I remember there was a phase in third or fourth year where I used to look up what exams are there left. So in that single year, I did CAT, I did GATE, I uh, RBI, grade B, a lot of exams, like without preparation, of course, GRE, just to know, like, where my interests would lie, because it was very difficult to decide at that time. But Then by fourth year, I wanted to work, and I got placed from campus. Then I worked for a year. At that time, then I realized well, it was a very good job. It was a very cushy job. They paid well. I hardly had any work to do there. But then a feeling of stagnation came. Like, what am I doing with my life? I wanted to do something more challenging. So I think post graduation, people, uh, that's where actually people diverge. Like their personalities, their experiences, their environment, they differ a lot. Like my friends, about a dozen of my friends are still living a very good, like just an extension of hostel life. They those who get placed in the same city like Bangalore, those who are placed in Amazon, things like so. They get to keep their friends for much longer. So they still live together. My friends, like 8 or 10 of them, are living together. They have 2 or 3 villas in the same compound. They hang out together. They party together. They work together. But for the rest of us, we hardly get to meet each other. We have a totally different path. So it depends on what your interests or what you're doing after that. But life generally, turns up for the good, because as much as I hate to say it, but IIT tag actually matters. Because I don't agree with the concept that an exam should determine your fate so much. It's just a three alphabet, and I don't think like uh, we are. It makes you any special, but the recognition and that tag, it actually matters wherever you go, and it also gives you a confidence. Like wherever you are, how even if you hit a rock bottom, you still know you have that potential to reach somewhere ultimately. So uh, you can afford to take an offbeat path, try something new, explore a bit, because you have already proven your metal once. So that's a good ego booster, but just don't let it get to your head. uh, it's all about the exposure that you get at the college.
Yeah. And so actually many of us, like from mechanical branch or electrical branch, they are highly demotivated when they see the packages of CS department. So what is the
Is
advice
that the
you give?
same even now? It's the same even now.
Same, sir.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. I mean, uh, that's actually true everywhere. And I used to tell, in my opinion, computer science should have it shouldn't even come in like a proper engineering course, because it's a very totally different thing. And even the outcomes, the packages, it is not actually very just. But then again, it's the way the industry is moving. Technology is everywhere. It's coding. I would say coding is a skill that everyone should learn, not just for this like for job angle. Like the way the future is moving, it's always handy to, it's basically like a language, and we are going, at least the machines are going to converse in that language in the future. So it's always better to be comfortable with programming and all. And even in my time also, the computer science guys used to get placed well. But then again, it's not the computer science guys, it's the logic, it's the aptitude that matters, because a lot of
Hmm.
people from non-computer science background got placed before computer science in the coding companies. So I think it the cold logic that works there, it's a good thing. But if you have interest in it, as far as non-computer science, mechanical and electrical, the only thing I can say is don't get demotivated. And in fact, the innovation and the creativity that you can apply is more in electrical or mechanical rather than in computer science, because of course the logic and the intelligence is required a lot in computer science. But mechanical, the feel, the experience of working with your hands, to be creative and innovative there with the little mechanics. After all, we all went for JE and we cleared physics with classical mechanics and modern physics rather than cold logic gates and all. It's the classical physics is what attracts the most. But then again, it's what the market wants. Market wants coders, so you'll. Uh,
Absolutely.
but to be fair, the one fair point is that there is no optional in UPSC for computer science. There is for electrical and mechanical. So those computer science guys who switch to UPSC preparation, they always whine about this thing. कि या प्रोग्रामिंग का एक पेपर होना चाहिए था फिर दिखा देता मैं.
So how did you develop this interest on cracking this UPSC and going into the foreign IFS or becoming an IS into the civil services in general? So how did you develop this interest while studying for engineering or maybe clearing such exams?
See, I had no, it never even came to my mind to go into this line till I would say, like when I was working till 2016 Jan. Because I worked from 2015 June to 2016 April, 12 months. So till then, it never came into my mind. Like when I was doing BTech, I always wanted to be in the core. Like this is what I wanted, so that's why I came here. So I will pursue this only. That was my mindset, and I never thought of myself doing a like government job because I always felt that private sector has a lot of scope where you can prove yourself and grow like exponentially, and all that was there. But then when I was working, it was around Jan when one of my colleagues started preparing for this, and uh, she used to like bring books to office, read there, and I used to just glance at the books. I had a good reading habit then, but mostly fiction. And I would say I was decently knowledgeable, like in history and stuff. But that was when I realized that there is so much that I don't know. Like despite being like IIT and these, I used to think I was well read at that time, but even the basic stuff, how our government works, the difference between Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, these are things that we like. Maybe we learned it in civics classes, but we forgot it because we were out of touch with it. And uh, history and I used to have interest in philosophy and like history and philosophy, but I never got the time to read it beyond our syllabus, NCERT syllabuses and all. So I felt that my education, there is something lacking. There are big holes in my education that I have so far. Also I wanted to like वो कहते हैं कुछ तूफानी करते हैं types. I wanted to challenge myself once more, and I felt that this is the best time. I'm still young. I can still give up my job and do something from the scratch. I got fond memories of my preparation time for JE. That was the, I think, more than those 4 years in BTech, I learned more in the 1 year before the cracking of the exam when I prepared for JE, because the learning curve is much steeper then. So I wanted to have that experience once again. And when I felt that I had a decent saving to like fund my own preparation, I quit it and went for this. And that was like a very good decision because it's a very transformative journey. You realize that there is so much knowledge that's left to gain. So more than the services, it was this challenge and the opportunity to learn that attracted me to give this. Basically, it was like to do something. I never at that time I wasn't considering about when will I clear the exam or what rank will I get or what service or anything. I just wanted an opportunity to give the exam.
So how difficult it is like to just uh, take up the UPSC preparation and leave a job because the society expects a lot from IITians and there will be pressure on you as well.
See, I don't actually. I mean, uh, I have been living in this society for 27 years now, and I still don't know what actually the society expects from you. Whatever you do, if you get successful, it is the same society that will come to appreciate you. And if you don't do something, I have never actually felt that the society actually asks you anything. It's the society ka kaam hai. They also have their own life to figure out. So don't think in that way. In fact, once I entered here, it felt like it is the societal pressure that most engineers come for cell services. Like most people who cracked civil services, they are engineers, and an overwhelming majority of them are from IITs. So there, it's the same thing that society expects you to uh, clear UPSC. So that's a very wrong way to think about. And UPSC is not the like the ultimate goal or anything. Whatever you want to do, you have to do that. The society should be the least consideration for you. Only the one thing that I would suggest is to have a good savings before you get into this, because that's also a good motivation that you are at least not spoiling your parents money or anything. At least that also gives you because like I said, it's a very solitary UPSC preparation is a very solitary journey, because you will feel that only you are learning. Like there are a lot of things that you are reading, you are learning, and your peer group is totally uh, out of tune with you, because the erstwhile your friends, your college friends, your friends who are working, they actually don't get you, because the on the trajectory that you are taking, you will be totally alone there. Even your parents, they will be supportive of you, but they don't actually know what you are going through. So the only way to keep yourself motivated is to the motivation should come from within. So these are the things, like okay, it's all right, it's my own money that I'm spending here, I am learning something, it's an interesting thing to learn. So these are the you कैसे भी अपने अपने को मतलब दिमाग को बेवकूफ बना के रखना है till you clear this. So, but enjoy the process. I'm talking for those who are thinking about the preparation or doing the preparation. Enjoy the process more than the destination or anything, because this will be. And I'm again worried that uh, this might be where my learning curve will again stagnate, because it has been so steep so far. So take it as an opportunity to grow exponentially during whatever time that you take to clear the exam.
So actually, we had a few questions, like most of the aspirants who are preparing for UPSC have, like what optional one should choose. For example, we are in the engineering background, we are pursuing mechanical engineering or engineering in electronics and electrical. So whether we should go for the technical optional or we should go for some of the optionals which are very hot in the top in the market, like anthropology, sociology. So what is your take on this?
See, the hotness of the topic always varies. There are people say there are trends in the marks that are get, but generally people take humanities optional because it is easy to learn, and you will have an interest, because for most of us it's a new subject. Maybe my optional was political science and international relations, and these are the topics that like it is a very common sense subject, but uh, it is very easy to learn. Actually for a technical mind, we are being trained in technical subjects all through our life,
Mm.
so we can actually easily grasp. We need training in expressing these ideas, because humanities guys, they have an edge over this. They have been writing these answers their life, but we were analytical all our life. So we need training in expressing our thoughts, but grasping and understanding is actually easier. That's what I felt. For example, in my batch, in IFS 2019 batch, there are 30 people, and of them I think 16 or 15 or 16 are from graduate their graduation is from BTech. And but all 30 of them took a sociology option, humanities optional. Even the technical graduates, they are also mostly taking up these humanities optionals, like political science or philosophy, geography, things like that. But there's also this thing that if you are good at some science subjects or maths, it's better to take that, because that's rewarding. You'll get very good marks in uh, maths or physics, chemistry, these options, if you are doing well in it. It is hard to do well in there, because the syllabuses are kind of, math syllabus is pretty huge, and you have to uh, dedicate separate energy for that, because there is hardly any overlap between the
Mm.
general studies subjects that you do. But in my case, political science, it's a very fascinating subject, and syllabus is very less. But I mean, it's up to you to whatever depth you want to go, you can. So what I did was I went to the UPSC website and checked the syllabus for all the optionals. I shortlisted 3 or 4. I asked few seniors who gave the exam, and finally, the only consideration that I made out of these 2 or 3 was that in which subject I can, see myself reading as much as I can, like for 2 years, 3 years, all my life. It should hold my interest for that long. That was my only consideration. And political science and international, because international relations, I was interested in IFS. So international relations anyway I was interested in it. And political science, like I said, I was interested in philosophy and all. So I thought that this would be a good chance to uh, study, because I was kind of getting bored with science, because we have learned it a lot, and it's not like it will be easy for you just because you cleared the BTech exam, because the science optionals, it's mostly about MSc level uh, syllabus and the question answers, so you'll need training for that also. But yeah, maths is a good option. Maths, or I would suggest maths or a humanities subject.
So we should not take technical optionals. You are
I
suggesting.
am not saying not take. I am not saying not take. It's about what interests you. Like if you are good at maths or if you are good at physics, you always wanted to learn. I mean, I'm talking from a BTech perspective. You might have taken 2 or 3 optional
Uh,
selectives. What do you call electives?
elective.
Yeah, electives. 2 or 3 electives from physics, and you have always had that interest to learn more in this, because believe me, none of these optionals, especially science, none of these optionals are easy. You will have to dedicate a lot of time and effort in this. So that's where you have to think, am I ready to put this much effort in this particular subject? Will I get bored? Will I start to hate this subject? That also happens. Like a lot of people have to change their optional midway because they start to hate that subject. They can't bear to read it anymore. So uh, it's your affinity or interest in the topic that matters. Don't go by the trends or how big the syllabus is or all that, because all that are secondary. If you have interest, you can overcome all those hurdles.
And so UPSC syllabus is quite huge. So what was your strategy to revise, and what was your strategy to stay motivated? For example, in the whole journey of a period of 2 years or more. So how you
Yeah.
stay motivated?
See, this was my second attempt. In my first attempt, I cleared prelims, but I couldn't clear mains, and that was a low point. But then again, I took it in my stride that I'll get. Even then, I didn't actually had a plan in my mind. Ki I will clear in 1 year or anything. I just thought, okay, I get one more year to learn more. I can learn, like instead of learning the same thing again, I'll expand my horizon. So there are two approaches in this. A lot of people go for depth rather than the spread. That is, they read a same book 4 or 5 times rather than reading 5 books, so that they can retain more. Because in the end, it's not about how much you know; it's about how much you can write in that particular time. So they go for more training, in more focused and more trained, uh, they have that plan. For me, I usually get bored reading the same thing again. So my approach was to cover as much wide as possible. So either you can, like for example, you read 100%, I mean you focus on 100% and you do it multiple times so that you can retain 90% of it or 80%, or you cover 400% and retain half of it. So you can go either way. For me, I wanted to know as much as possible rather than know anything so deeply that I'll be perfect at it. So I didn't even have any like those typical textbooks that people refer. I didn't focus on much on that. I covered a lot of sources like internet, Wikipedia, books, blogs, YouTube videos. because I was going topic by topic rather than source. In the end, you just have to orient yourselves according to the need of the paper, as in what the paper setter is expecting, like what kind of guy he is looking for. So whatever way you are preparing, just realign yourself. And one way to realign yourself is to go back to the previous year papers and evaluate yourself, where do you stand according to this paper. And there are a lot of materials available, so there will be no dearth of material, plenty. And there are no dearth of advisors also. There are a lot of topper talks and all that. So it's up to you. I mean, in the end, nobody helps you. It's all up to you. It's like I said, it's a very solitary journey. You make your own path as you go. And for me, it was very hard for me to stick to any particular plan for long. So I used to have 2 or 3 plans per week. Like I used to change my strategy every one then and again. But in the end, by the time, what matters is by the time of the exam, how much you are prepared for the exam. How you do that is irrelevant. If you have done that or not, that's what matters.
So,
So yeah, you was talking about how like motivated and all. So after my first, like when I wrote my first mains, even at that time I realized I am not prepared for this, because till then I was focusing more on like gaining knowledge, but I never practiced writing the answers. I didn't attend any test series or anything. So my biggest hurdle was like finishing the paper in time. So in my first mains, I had to leave questions of about 120 marks in all the paper combined in my first attempt. So I couldn't attempt those questions, even though the questions were easy. And leaving 100 marks worth question means you are already out of the race. So in my second attempt, my entire focus was to finish the paper in time, no matter what. So I reoriented myself according to that. I learned a few more, like I expanded my knowledge base a little more. But once you give the exam, I think rather than getting demotivated, you should feel motivated, because you are not a stranger anymore into the process. You have yourself become a senior at this. So take it in your stride. It's a very, knowledge gaining is always an incremental process. You will never go down as long as you are sincere at it. So those who clear at third attempt will definitely be more knowledgeable than those who clear at second attempt. And those who clear at second attempt is generally more better than those who clear at first attempt, because it's a like I said, incremental process.
Can you elaborate about this transformation? How exactly did you prepare for it, and how did it transform you?
First of all, it makes you realize that you know nothing. uh, like they say in Game of Thrones, you know nothing, right? Because it humbles you, actually. We engineers tend to have a very tunnel view about world, because we always think in terms of like think technically and think straightforward, but the nuances of how the world works and all. So it's a very we are not exposed to a lot of things, may it be concepts and ideas like social justice or economics, uh, politics of not just the party politics or the election politics, the ideologies that did control our lives, that knowingly or unknowingly determines our decisions. So this, when I said transformative process, I didn't just mean my like knowledge base. Is the entire view of life, like how uh, minuscule are the things that we used to consider like very that we used to give a lot of priority earlier. So it broadens your horizon. It any exam will do that, because the kind of effort that you are putting, it's it's like working out in a gym. It develops you. But UPSC is transformative because the variety of topics that you are dealing with, your entire personality will develop according to it. And you can actually see that when you discuss it with people outside the circle, outside the UPSC circle, you will realize that how informed you are, how I'm not saying that it's any rule that everyone will be like this, but if you are balanced enough, you will see that you are becoming more mature than the the big- and I don't mean to say that they are not developing. Of course, whatever people are doing, they are developing in their fields. So who are working in private sector, they are becoming more competitive. They are uh, becoming good at their fields. And for us, UPSC exam is in the end for a generalist profession, may it be IAS or any other service. It's generally a generalist. That is what you call a jack of all trades, rather than ace of something. So your job is to have a basic working understanding on about everything. So one drawback of this is that I have met a lot of people who have invested their 5 or 6 years at this, and in the end, because your luck matters a lot in this. So it's possible that you are well qualified to be a civil servant, but you, as a matter of chance, you couldn't clear it, and then they are confused because those 5 years have made them a much better citizen and a much well informed person, but it didn't give them any employable skill, you know. So where to go next? So that is something, that risk is always there, which is not there in private sector, because in the end they are also learning something at their job. uh, so transformative, that's one aspect. Other is knowing how your state, knowing how your state is functioning, it's working. So I think as a individual, everyone should be knowledgeable about these things also. And it gives you a wider range of networks, like people, you get to meet a lot of people from diverse backgrounds, you get more empathetic towards them. And even we have a paper on ethics, and I have really found that quite a um, interesting and quite influential subject in your process of thinking, because it uh, yeah, if you have given the paper, you will know it. If you are planning to give the paper, you will know it. So it's totally worth it.
Yeah. So, sir, if you were to give one advice to yourself a few years ago when you were at IIT Roper, what would you say? What would you tell him?
I would say that the time you have spent there, it was not a waste of time. uh, you had a lot of fun, and that was good, but you could have used more time to learn something. It doesn't have to be uh, you know uh, academic or books related. Like maybe you could have learned a new language, you could have learned a new art, something that an extra skill, you know because we tend to waste again, it's not waste, but we tend to invest a lot of time in things that are not actually productive. So that is one suggestion, because in the end, time passes very soon, very quickly, and you become later you will find yourself old to learn any new tricks. So those 4 years, because I had no other pressing concerns or pressure at that time, I was totally free and I had all the resources I needed to learn new things, but I didn't use them properly. I thought that I'll anyway get more time in future, but time is always limited. So and I could have at least picked one subject to at mm, at my in my beta course. At least I could have mastered at one subject, so that I'll have something to say when somebody says, what did you learn in your beta in those 4 years? I can't think of anything now, but I managed to clear all the exams somehow. So,
Okay, so thank you, sir. That was
Uh-huh.
excellent. That was all. And
so,
it was great having you here. It was great talking with you about the UPSC journey and about everything and about IIT Roper in general. Thank you for being such a great alumni. And thank you for being here again.
Thank you. Thank you. It was fun talking to you guys. Best wishes to whatever future endeavors you have.
thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.